There was a social media trial between a woman who's now 20 years old who claims that she's been using social media since she was age 10, which led to dependency, depression, anxiety, self harm, body dysmorphia, all the things that we know social media does, right? There's
Hmm.
plenty of studies on it. It's been
Yeah.
around long enough. It's used widely enough. We know it does this.
Yeah. You can just look at people's like reported mental health stats and it's just nosediving.
Oh, yeah. Not to mention amongst teens. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just
Especially
not
teens. Yeah.
teens and not just young, not just teen girls, but teen boys too. But anyway, back to the case. So
Mm.
they lost. They lost. The jury awarded 3 million in damages from both Meta and YouTube.
Hmm.
Snapchat and TikTok actually settled, so they were in the suit, but they settled ahead of time.
That might have been a smart move on their behalf.
Oh, 100%. Because,
Yeah.
well, their name's not in the news as being guilty of this. Even, I mean, it's not really a matter of guilt; it's liability. But they're not considered liable for this.
Mm.
The key to this trial is a couple things. So one, the fact that they lost and the plaintiff's attorneys were able to convince a jury that these platforms are addictive and are designed to be addictive, and that the
Hmm.
companies behind them knew they were addictive and did it on purpose, is going
Yeah.
to open them up to thousands of more lawsuits. That's
Yeah.
why this is a big deal. Three
Yeah.
million in damages. That's about what Meta earns in 8 minutes, and that's about what Alphabet earns in 4 minutes.
So Google. Yeah.
It's not even a slap on the wrist. Like you can't. I can't even like give you an equivalent. That's like if I found a nickel in my pocket and I just threw it on the ground. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But all those other potential lawsuits, that's the key. And
Yeah.
in the absence of regulation, which is sorely needed and missing in social media, this is kind of the next best thing because this kind of penalty at scale, at a large enough scale, forces them to act, to change their policies, open themselves up to more risk exposure. I want to talk about one of the key strategies for the plaintiffs in this case. The attorneys
Yeah.
didn't try to convince the jury that the content was harmful because the defense for that would have been Section 230. Section 230 preempts and removes liability for internet-based companies for the content that they have on their platforms.
It basically says that they're not regulated as a publisher, right? So they're not responsible for the content that's published on their platforms. Isn't that
Bingo.
the basic like
It is
point there?
extremely antiquated and does not really match with reality these days. But yes, that's exactly the essence of it.
Can I just make a quick point on that? So I think it's a holdover from a time when basically the law said that you can't legally hold the phone company accountable for what somebody said over the phone to somebody else. Like that's where that comes from, I think. Like you can't sue, American phone companies because somebody called and told somebody else like, hey, I'm going to come over and, shoot you or whatever.
I did
And
not
that's
know
where,
that. That's
yeah,
interesting.
I believe that's the origin of it. And so like,
Sounds
internet,
super freaking old.
so
Sounds like it needs
internet-based
to
companies,
die.
they want to retain this status under Section 230 or whatever it's called, so that they can't be held liable or responsible or accountable for what people publish on their platforms. Because if that was revoked and taken away from them, then they're responsible for what me or you could post on Facebook or Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, whatever. And that opens them up to a shitload of work. First of all, it's impossible to moderate what everybody posts on social media. It's just too much of a workload. And also, they don't want all that trouble. It's just too much to be worth it.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that there are sides of it that make sense. They
Hmm.
shouldn't be held liable for everything that's posted on there because moderating something that has 3 billion users as Instagram does is impossible at that scale. If they were going to face liability for every single post,
Yeah,
that would be a problem.
it's
But to
impossible.
not take any measures to, well, first of all, to not take any measures to moderate the content at all, which is not
Hmm.
what they do necessarily. But the key is that this has nothing to do with the content. The case here was all around the fact that there's basically the companies were accused of knowingly designing the platforms to be addictive. And that
Yeah,
completely removed Section 230 from the equation. So very
yeah,
smart move on their lawyers' parts.
yeah. It's a very clever approach. It's very, very crafty. I like it.
The other part of this is like they were always going to get their ass handed to them in a jury trial. Why? Because every person in the jury uses this stuff and understands intuitively, like, yeah, this stuff is made to be addictive. These companies have not made themselves likable. in
No.
any way. Alphabet's PR team is a lot better than Meta's. Meta's PR team
Mm,
is like, they have a lot of great lobbyists. I mean, they're
yeah.
great at getting regulation through or not through that
Mm,
benefits them. But
right.
their PR team has, I mean, just the Meta glasses alone, they're basically seen as like not just the company that doesn't act with integrity, but they also kind of showcase what it looks like when a company of that scale with that kind of platform and that kind of algorithm and those number of eyes on it, what it looks like and how much harm it causes when they don't act with integrity. And we shouldn't be expecting companies to act with integrity. Like, this is capitalism.
Hmm.
Business is a game that you do anything you can to win within the
Hmm.
bounds of the law. And some people disagree with me on this. They're like, no, 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 you should be a good citizen of the world as a CEO.
Yeah.
Bullshit. I blame elected officials for having no guts, no spine, no knowledge. I mean, some people in our Congress are so fucking old. They don't even understand this shit. I really blame elected officials for not having any regulations on this. But the key in this case is this has been a long time coming. In the absence of that regulation, the next best thing is legal damages. And I really hope that this happens all around the world. I don't want it to get wrapped up in some kind of class action lawsuit where they can pay one lump sum. Lawyers
Hmm.
get 70% of it. The class gets 30%, and then that's it. They have like a fixed amount they have to pay. I
Yeah.
think that for them to really change how things work, this has to be like a very, I don't want to say an existential threat to them, but something that will materially impact their bottom line.
Really hurt them in the wallet, basically.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we're just like, I mean, when you use social media, we know how they design it. We are the lab rats. We're the lab rats with a little fucking lever that gives heroin, but not every
Hmm.
time. This is key. It doesn't give heroin every time. It
Yeah.
gives it one out of like 50 times, which is
Randomly. Yeah.
worse. That's
Yeah.
worse for your brain. And they know that.
Hmm.
It's a variable reward. So what is that in practice? Scrolling. Maybe
Means you
not this
keep
video,
trying.
next video. Yeah, you keep trying. And that is like playing slot machines with your brain, and they
Yeah.
fucking know it. And
Oh, of
everybody in
course
the
they know it.
jury knew it.
Yeah. Everybody in the jury knew it because they probably have experienced it themselves, or they have a child or a niece or a nephew who's addicted to their phone and they see how they spend just hours and hours and hours on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, just looking at shit that's just giving them brain rot. And they know this stuff is designed to be addictive. The design of the platform and the functions by which the user interfaces with the platform is that it just hooks you and pulls you in and kind of diminishes your attention span and just makes you go, what's next? What's next? What's next?
I'm so glad to see this, but there's no getting around it. Like, one thing that I
Yeah.
will always mourn is that there is a generation of people in the world who are between the ages of 13 and 28, who
Yeah.
basically grew during their formative years, spent probably more time on their phone than they did doing anything else.
With friends, like face to face interaction.
You and I are lucky that we kind of like we're just old enough that we kind of
Yeah.
skipped that, and we got to kind of grow up before. So like when Facebook was public, 2004, and like it wasn't really widely available. Was it? I don't think it was widely available at the time. It was kind of like
Yeah.
invite only. It was MySpace. MySpace wasn't nearly that addictive.
No.
Um,
No.
and then it just got more and more addictive over time. The amount of time people spend on Instagram keeps going up. I mean,
Yeah.
these are growing companies. I mean, they're
Yeah.
growing, like, somehow Instagram has 3 billion users and it's still growing like 3%, which may not sound like a lot percentage wise, but numbers wise, that's a lot of fucking people.
Yeah.
Not to mention the number of people using Instagram every day. 65% of those 3 billion monthly users use it every day.
That's
So,
insane numbers.
yeah.
That's
So my
fucking crazy.
yeah.
But also, is it okay for me to say this? You're a dad. Are you okay with me putting
Yeah.
that out there? Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
got that
you're a dad.
big dad energy. Yeah, bro.
You're a dad, big dad energy. You have a boy. He's going to grow up to be of the age where he probably is going to ask you for a smartphone. Do you want him to spend all his hours just sucked into an online platform, just doing this shit and not talking to people, not learning how to make eye contact? You got to be thinking down the road with this shit. Like, no, you don't want your kids to get sucked into the I don't know, what do you even call it? The hive mind of the internet like that.
I have two minds on this. I mean, to your point, Absolutely not. I will do everything to keep him away from it. I will
Yeah.
give him a dumb phone, a burner phone. I will
Mm,
give I don't care. Like, I'll give him a fucking Palm Pilot if those things still work. Okay. Like,
yeah.
you will not have a smartphone. And I know that's hard. And I do wonder if there are kind of second order effects to that. Like, if he doesn't have a smartphone and is
Yeah.
therefore not digitally mobile native, or mobile digital native, however you want to say it, is
Yeah.
that going to negatively impact him in some way? Is that going to make him less viable for the job market? But
Right.
but then I keep coming back to the principle of, I don't think there's anything better that somebody could do to predict their own success than to
Hmm.
have a healthy mind and a lot of self-esteem. And if I look at it that way, it's kind
Yeah.
of a no-brainer.
And also to be well socialized and have good social connections and strong social bonds with friends and family. And yeah,
Yeah,
it's worth
exactly.
so much more than just this, phone addiction.